Colleagues, as you know, over the last 3 months, my team and I have been proactively, I repeat, proactively engaged on a listening tour, where I have heard many voices from the Global South, many voices from major economies, indigenous peoples, NGOs, civil society, and youth, as well as the business community. In fact, many of you here today have shared great insights which have helped deepen my own understanding and helped shape my approach to this task at hand. Over the next 2 days, I look forward to a more informative and constructive dialogue, and I promise that I will continue to listen very closely to your valuable and perspectives as well as your great ideas. Colleagues and friends, it is our collective responsibility, and this responsibility requires our honesty and our collective effort. And as you all know, we can only succeed through genuine and true partnership, through real collaboration and shared purpose. And we all know that is the true foundation of real multilateralism. With me here today are members of the COP28 team who are passionately committed to this very important cause. I am joined by Her Excellency Mariam Lemheri, the UAE's Minister of Climate Change and Environment, and Her Excellency Razan Mbarak, the COP28 high-level champion, and together with the guidance of the United Arab Emirates leadership, we take on this role of hosting COP28 with humility, with a deep sense of responsibility, and a great sense of urgency. Colleagues, we have just passed the 7-year mark since the adoption of the Paris Agreement, with just 7 years to go to 2030. There is 7 years to reduce emissions by 43% and keep the ambitions and objectives of the Paris Agreement alive. This is the year of the first Global Stocktake that will measure progress since Paris. The most recent IPCC report has already made it crystal clear that we are all way off track. This is a moment of clarity that we must all face with total honesty. We're already seeing the impacts from rising sea levels to field harvests to food, water, and energy insecurity. Everyone is affected, and the most vulnerable communities across the Global South who have done the least to cause climate change are the most affected. These are the facts. The message is clear. This cannot be denied. Our respective responsibilities are also very clear. And it is time for us to come to terms with some realities. In fact, it is time for all of us to get real. We have no choice but to unite and seize the moment of this global stocktake to put the world on the right track to meet the goals and ambitions of the very promising Paris Agreement. We must accelerate cross-sectoral progress on mitigation. We must ensure countries have the resources and plans to place, and in order for them to be able to adapt climate impacts. And we must supercharge climate finance. We must supercharge climate finance, making it more available, more accessible, and more affordable to drive delivery across climate pillars. While doing all of this, we need to ensure a just and equitable transition that leaves no one behind. With your help and contribution and your true determination, COP28 needs to deliver an action plan that engages the public and private sector to achieve transformational results. This will be underpinned by a robust, negotiated response to the Global Stocktake. We need equally strong outcomes across all other mandates. This includes the mitigation work program, the global goal on adaptation, and doubling adaptation finance. We also need strong outcomes on the Just Transition Work Program, the new collective quantified finance goal, and of course, the operationalization of the Loss and Damage Fund and ensuring the funding arrangements. I have heard loud and clear that to deliver on all of this, we will have to address issues of trust. Expectations are very high and trust is very low. Developing countries are still waiting for the $100 billion promised by developed countries 14 years ago. This is holding up progress, and as part of my outreach, I am requesting donor countries to provide a definitive assessment on the delivery of this commitment before COP28. It is vital to the political credibility of the UNFCCC process that donors step up to this long overdue obligation ahead of COP28, especially as the real value of this commitment has eroded over time. On top of that, a robust replenishment of the Green Climate Fund this year, alongside enhanced support for the Adaptation Fund, would send a signal of true global unity and solidarity. Trust is also essential in the negotiations process. In fact, trust is a critical success factor. And as COP28 President, I will ensure a fair, inclusive, and transparent presidency that provides space for all parties to reach consensus across the whole agenda. And here, let me assure you that under this presidency's leadership, the negotiations will give space for all parties to discuss, debate, and agree on the role of all sources of energy. And on that point, let me say this, and let me be perfectly clear. In a pragmatic, just, and well-managed energy transition, we must be laser-focused on phasing out fossil fuel emissions while phasing up and scaling up viable, affordable, zero-carbon alternatives. This is the approach we have been taking in the United Arab Emirates for more than 20 years, where we have embraced in practice the energy transition. We know that the energies used today will continue to be part of the global energy mix for the foreseeable future. And as such, we will continue to work with the world to decarbonize the current energy system while we build the new energy system that is capable of transitioning even the most heavy emitting industries. Your Excellencies, colleagues, and my friends, what happens inside the negotiations process is critically important. But we need to match what is agreed in the negotiated text with concrete action in the real world. And this means countries and cities, investors and industries and businesses of all sizes, all stepping up in the same direction. The Global Stocktake must deliver real economy outcomes. At COP28, I expect ambitious, transparent, and accountable commitments from all countries and businesses that will shape policies in parliaments and budgets in boardrooms. We will accelerate delivery in sectors like renewables that must triple capacity by 2030 and double it again by 2040. We will encourage smart government regulation to jumpstart the hydrogen value chain and make carbon capture commercially viable. And the public, multilateral, and private sectors must be mobilized in new and innovative ways on the critical issue of climate finance. In my meetings with climate, finance, development ministers and others across the Global South, what I hear time and again is that climate finance is simply not available, not accessible, and not affordable, which is why we need tangible progress this year. It has to happen this year on reform that will unlock far more concessional finance, mitigate risk, and attract more private capital. And governments who have made commitments to vulnerable and developing countries, they must live up to those commitments. And they must start delivering. They must show action. The poorest nations make up over half of the world's population, yet account for just 12% of global emissions. 800 million people have no access to energy at all. Behind these numbers, you know and I know, are real people. Those people want, in fact, they deserve a better life for themselves and for their families. If the world doesn't come up with effective mechanisms to deliver climate finance to developing and emerging economies, they will have no choice but to choose a carbon-intensive development path. This is an outcome we want to avoid simply because it is in no one's interest. Colleagues, COP28 must also provide tangible solutions to help people adapt to climate change and manage growing climate impacts. This is why we will be the first COP to dedicate a day to health and the first to host a health and climate ministerial. And we need to broaden our definition of adaptation to enable global climate resilience, transform food systems, and enhance forestry land use, and water management. COP28 will also be a space for innovative solutions for nature. We must continue to safeguard natural carbon sinks like rainforests and mangroves, protect biodiversity, and work closely with indigenous peoples to help preserve natural ecosystems. Indigenous peoples represent 5% of the global population, but protect 80% of the world's biodiversity. Their voices must be heard, and their contribution to the climate challenge must be recognized. Our high-level champion, Her Excellency Razan Al-Mubarak, will focus and give special attention on putting people and nature at the center of climate progress. In addition, this COP will put a special focus on empowering youth. And as the first officially designated youth climate champion, Her Excellency Sham Al-Mazroui will mobilize substantive policy and programmatic outcomes for the young people. Under her leadership, in collaboration with Yongo, we will ensure that youth, particularly from small island states and the least developed countries, participate meaningfully and effectively throughout the full COP cycle and activities. This is a feature that we hope will be incorporated in all future COPs. Our International Youth Climate Delegate Program is the largest initiative to expand youth participation from underrepresented countries in the climate process to date. This is not a record we want to hold. It is a record we want to see broken, and I hope it happens in the future COPs. Your Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, before I conclude, I just want to take a moment to recognize the people in this room alongside the efforts of many outside of this room. Many of you have devoted your entire careers to public service and the cause of climate progress. It has been a long and hard journey. At times, I have no doubt it has been frustrating, and I feel your frustration. But we also remember the breakthroughs. We remember the outcomes of Paris. We were all there in Paris at COP21 when governments united in agreement. We must aim to make COP28 be remembered for uniting everyone in true action. And this year, the year of the Global Stocktake, we have an unprecedented opportunity to turn policies into practical outcomes. Let's please put an end to delays, and let's please start delivering real results. Let's turn passion into pragmatic solutions. Let's end polarization and empower partnership. There are moments in history when humanity comes together to fight a common threat. And advancing humanity has always been one of the core principles of our leadership in the United Arab Emirates. We have chosen to face global challenges head-on by adopting a positive mindset and working on solutions in the pursuit of progress and prosperity with like-minded partners. And it is this mindset that we will bring as hosts of COP28. We believe that game-changing solutions can be achieved if the collective political will is there. And I promise you, it certainly is from the United Arab Emirates. Let's unite in solidarity for the sake of humanity. Let's live up to the responsibility that we have been entrusted with, and let us restore political credibility to the legal agreements that we have not yet fulfilled. I am counting on your experience, your engagement, your positivity, your energy, your ideas, and your continued commitment. From my part, I commit to matching your effort and your dedication every step of the way. Let's work together to deliver an ambitious agenda and a practical and action-oriented GST for 2030. Together, let's deliver a COP of unity, of solidarity and impact, a COP of action and a COP for all. And let's unite a divided world for the planet, for our people, and for lasting sustainable development. The world demands transformational progress, and the world needs transformational action. Thank you.